say, what I'm trying to say to you is that the economy is in a better place than it has been historically. And so we feel here at this administration, and other experts as well, is that we feel that we are in a good position because when you look at inflation, when we look at where we are economically, and we are stronger economically than we have been in history. When you look at the
A few moments later.
With inflation at a 40-year high, many experts warn of a possible economic slowdown. In a new poll, 42% of Americans say they are struggling to remain where they are financially. That is the highest percentage we have seen in the past 5 years.
So that was Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre letting you know that we have the strongest economy right now in American history. And, we're building and we're doing big things in this economy. Okay. And then I'm sure you've gotten the headlines. You've heard it today. You felt it before you even heard it. Inflation is up at 9.1%. They're not giving us the real numbers. These calculations are off. And we need to get down to the bottom of this and how, of course, it affects you. If you have not subscribed to this channel yet, I suggest please subscribe. I noticed that people are watching. They're watching the videos. That's awesome. That's great. You guys want to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this is where we're gonna dive into these topics together, like people who this is affecting, but not people who know numbers and just say whatever. Okay, there's no lies here. It's all about the inconvenient truth. So let's get started. So like I said, they're not giving us the real numbers, but why don't we talk about first, like, what inflation really means? And inflation, the meaning of inflation is expansion of the money supply. Okay, Peter Schiff is a financial economist who knows what he's talking about, straight up. So he gives the real truth, the inconvenient truth. And I like to go to people who's just going to give it to me straightforward. Doesn't matter how hard it is to hear. They just want me to know what's really going on. So there might be different definitions for inflation, but I'm going to go with his, that it's the expansion of the money supply, because that's what we have. So he says that what we're seeing is the symptoms of inflation with the rising prices and rising costs. Okay. How do we start expanding the money supply? So just as a real quick history lesson, in 1971, President Nixon took the gold standard out of money. I don't know. And we basically started being able to print money without anything really backing it. Okay. So now it has no value. It almost like the money has no value. And then when they keep printing the money, it's like they're constantly borrowing against themselves. Okay. So this government, that's what they do. Of course, before the Biden era. I'm not going to sit here and act like it was just Joe Biden doing this. This was already happening before. However, we'll talk about how they ramped up the expansion of the money supply. How was it calculated? It's calculated to the consumer price index, but the problem is, so the consumer price index is basically like cost of living versus cost of goods. So it calculates like how much it costs for housing, how much you're paying, I guess, in the stores. And we're not really sure how it's calculated, but, and even watching The Economist, I'm like, but how's it calculated? How's it calculated? And once again, Peter Schiff, keeping it real, he says, I'm not even quite sure how they calculate this thing. I like that. Don't lie to me. Don't say, well, this is how it's done. And then I like that, because it is hard to figure out how it's calculated. But anyway, when they go through things like, well, we're going to calculate the cost of living. So, so they do surveys. Well, how much, if you have your house, how much would you charge yourself rent? And then they use those kind of numbers. So it's like basically made up numbers. Okay. To me, while they were predicting it was going to be 8.6%, it came up at 9.1%, which is all bad. I personally think it's somewhere in about the 15%. Okay. How did we get here? Okay. So like I told you, so like I said, we talked about that inflation is just expanding the money supply, right? So now we're going to see the symptoms. So why don't we talk about how we got to the symptoms of inflation? Okay. So again, I cannot blame it all on Joe Biden. People were already, government spending has been going on long before, right? Okay. However, it was ramped up in this administration. If we take a look here at the inflation calculator, right? I'm just putting this up right here. You see in, man, in 2020, it started to actually go down, but it was at 2.49%, 2.33, 154, 0.33. All I'm like is like, Oh, I miss it. Okay, no, let me chill. So we see the numbers were trending down, but I will keep it real that there was a pandemic around these months, so I can understand the demand was not high for certain things. Okay, so now we're out of the pandemic. I'll give you this: we're out of the pandemic, so prices like things will start going up. I could see numbers going up because as far as with the symptoms of inflation, I can see numbers going up because they did give a bunch of stimulus that started to stimulate the economy. It might have backfired, but unfortunately, when this administration came in, they did other things too. Not only did they keep stimulus going, they continued. Remember, they added extra to the unemployment, and another thing that we were doing was killing our marketplace at home. When we added extra to the unemployment, it almost gave like a false UBI. So a lot of people were thinking like, well, what's the point of going to work if I can just simply stay home and get paid an appropriate amount of money? So even when that extra was taken off, people still figured out like, well, even if I'm seeing a little bit less, I could still figure out where maybe I'll get a job working 2 days a week. And then, and then I still don't have to spend too much money. I still don't have to work, but things still have to be made. So now we're having shortages. You get supply shortages, things like that. It's hard to get people to work. And so then now also, because it's so hard to find people to work, and we had that going on, the labor shortage. Remember, then you saw grocery stores saying we're ready to pay $20 a cashier, all kinds of prices just to get somebody to come into work. I saw waitresses and waiters getting paid $15 an hour. I thought that was the craziest thing because when I was a waitress, I got paid $2 and something cents an hour, and then I made my money off of tips. But these people just needed somebody in the building, so they were ready to pay whatever. All of that causes it causes an effect. Then we had mandates where people lost their jobs because they didn't do what the government told them to do. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So then you stop the production, okay? And also, they didn't stop government spending. And so you'll see here where it started booming, 4.6 and 4.99. Around this time, this administration took out, I think, $1.9 trillion for the American Job Plan, where they're going to tell you, oh, it helped America and we did a great job for America. I put more jobs on the market. You put out $1.9 trillion for infrastructure. And I really don't know what really happened, because when I look around me, I still see people. I don't know. I don't know if people are trying to work. I don't know what that was supposedly have done for the American citizen. I don't know. But you see it. It's going up. It's going up. We ended last year somewhere in the 6.17s. And then coming into January, and it stops here because the new number just came out, 8.52. Like, this is a big jump. And this is a big jump in 1 year for one administration. I'm not even going to talk about the Trump administration. I'm pretty sure the Obama administration, the Clinton administration, none of this stuff ever happened. Okay. Things are going up. There's this lovely Pine Sol that I love to use. It's actually the Markets brand Pine Sol. It used to be about $1.99. I looked again, that joint went up to $3.32. Okay. Tell me again how inflation is only at 9.1% when I'm seeing things go up to like almost 50% of the price of what it was. Again, they're not really calculating this stuff for you, the American consumer, to understand exactly what's going on here. Okay. So how do we fix this? It's not going to stop. How do we fix it? Okay. Well, Peter Schiff says how you fix it is interest rates should be higher than the inflation rates, and then that can start to pay off some of this debt, right? Okay, well, how do we even start? If our inflation rate really is not even accurate, it says it's 9.1%. So I guess I'm thinking it's 15%, but I guess we'll say that it's somewhere 13%, right? So we should at least have interest rates going up to 15%. No, they're not. That's not even going to happen. They are raising the interest rate a little bit. And that was another thing that brought us into this situation too. They lowered the interest rate during this economic collapse during the pandemic legislation. They're raising it a little bit, but they would never, it's not going to be able to go high enough to pay off all these issues. And then here's the thing, this wheel is turning. It's already turning. So now, because prices are getting higher at the supermarket and rent and everything else, and, we're having all these issues and prices are getting higher. We don't have diesel gas basically to get people the food from A to B. It's snowballing out of control. This train is moving. They're going to try to stabilize the situation by giving unemployment and raising up food stamps, stuff like that. And listen, and dig this, what I'm saying right now, I'm not coming at anybody who's on any of these things, okay? I'm not. I will say this to you though. I suggest you figure out how to get yourself a little bit off them, as a little bit, if you can, a little bit, okay? Because I want you to know, and this is just a personal prediction, okay? I didn't read this anywhere, but you know, these people, they do not care about you. So if it gets that bad, the first thing to go are the programs. Okay, all right. So because in all of this confusion, we were somehow able to pull out $1.7 billion and send to Ukraine yesterday to pay their healthcare workers. Okay, you see how you come last in this global equity. Yes, you do. The American worker, the American person comes last in this global equity. You've had too much. It's your turn now to share. I keep talking about global equity on this channel. This is real. This is real. This is happening in real time. I don't want to say everything is not okay, but I'm telling you that this is also a real attack on the American worker, on the American citizen, on the American working middle class. And if you don't believe me, listen to your boy.
Falling behind. This time, it's time that we build an economy that grows from the bottom up and the middle out. The middle out. And this bill shows that when you do that, everybody does better.
Bottom up, middle out. Middle out. Out of what? Out of where? Okay. So that's what I'm saying. All right. Let me just even put last bit of personal predictions to this, because we have to talk about this like we're having a conversation, like we know each other, okay? Listen, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not. But I'm a person with a brain and eyes. And I'm telling you that this has been long coming, and now it is in super drive. And sometimes I wonder if it's on purpose. Okay, I'm lying to you now. 80% of me, 95% of me feels like this is on purpose. Purpose or not is happening. So I always say, get your supplies. Having your money saved in the bank, from what I'm hearing, is like, yeah, have a little bit in there, but you know what? Pull some cash out. I would keep cash on hand. I don't trust banks right now. We're going to get into all that on this channel, but I would keep cash on hand. Not to mention, not to say I wouldn't save, because that sounds crazy, but the way how it's inflating, it's like if it took let's say it took $1 to buy a loaf of bread, but the prices are going up so much that if you be like, well, let me hold on to this money, when you need that loaf of bread in 5 months, it's going to be $5. So now you need, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm saying? So now you need more money to get that loaf of bread. So you saved, but it's losing value. But if you put it in a hard asset, some people, like even Robert Kiyosaki was like, invest in tuna. Like he was like, you'll get mad cans of tuna because you might need it. Get the things that you need. This is not, I'm not a prepper, but I am looking at, like, hey, I know I'm going to need this down the line. It's never going to go bad. Paper towels, stuff like that. So let me get it now while it's $10 for 6 rolls at Walmart, even though they're shrinking what's in there. They're doing that too. Shrinkage is a thing. And let me get it now, because by the end of the year, it might be $17 for the same shrunken 6-pack. So you see what I'm saying? So like, we have to start thinking about this stuff. We do. And I'm thinking about it too. We're having these real conversations together. We're having them together, and we're looking at them together, and we're learning them together. And I was very spoiled for a long time. I didn't think about none of this. I didn't. I always thought, like, I have a good paying job, I'll be fine. I'm grateful to God for where I'm at in life, but I'm also grateful to God for the brain that he gave me to be able to assess what's coming. And we'll do this together, guys. We'll be okay. We've got more episodes coming about our food prices, what shrinkage means. We're going to figure out how they're really calculating this number. We're going to figure out what's going on with the jobs market. We're going to figure out what's going on in the world. We're going to foreshadow through the world, and we're going to figure out what's going on with Biden's 30-30 plan and how that's even going to to mess with our food supplies too. Yeah, you want to stick around on this channel. So you really want to subscribe, because we're not here to play. It's not even about playing sides. We need to figure this stuff out. It takes time to look through all the papers, but I'm willing to do it for you guys. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I said it like 100 times. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.